January 12, 1973, the closing days of the Vietnam War. Two Navy Phantoms catapult from Midway into an overcast sky. They're flying BARCAP, a barrier combat air patrol between the coast of North Vietnam and Midway. They'll intercept any MiGs that head out over the water towards American ships in the Gulf. Flying lead is Lieutenant Vic Kovaleski and his Rio, Jim Wise. Flying off his wing is Lieutenant Pat Arwood with his Rio, Ensign Lynn Oates. They arrive on station, and after a short time, the air controller breaks in over the radio. There's a bandit airborne, heading straight for Midway.
It was a real threat to the Midway, not only MiGs, but even surface craft to come out to challenge the carrier, because it would be quite a prize to sink or damage the Midway.
Now, she did have some point defense systems at the time, such as a surface-to-air missile defense battery. But just as in the Second World War, the primary defense for an aircraft carrier is her own embarked fighters.
The air controller vectors them in the direction of the enemy MiG.
As we were descending, Vic picked him up. It was about 11 o'clock position, and we were down in the 10,000-foot range. The MiG was maybe 12 miles or so.
The MiG is heading toward the Americans. At 2 miles, the North Vietnamese spots the big Phantoms and makes an about face.
The MiG appeared to be heading toward us, but he very quickly reversed course and started heading due north.
The communist pilot is in no mood to fight. Kovaleski pitches up and cuts back right to improve his angle off the MiG's tail. The powerful Phantom closes on its prey. The MiG breaks right to shake his pursuer. Kovaleski and Arwood must be cautious. Kovaleski closes to missile range. He gets good tone on his Sidewinder and fires.
Vic's first missile detonated by the tail. I'm sure that the MiG pilot knew that he was damaged, and it was probably more damage than we realized from a distance.
Kovaleski fires another Sidewinder.
When the second missile flew up the tailpipe and it exploded, the MiG pitched up violently into 90-degree vertical position and just virtually stopped and rolled off to the right-hand side and then plummeted into the water.
This will prove to be the last MiG kill of the Vietnam War. On January 27, 1973, the Paris Peace Accords are signed, and American involvement in the Vietnam War comes to an end. Between 1965 and 1973, America claimed over 200 MiGs, 8 of which were downed by pilots of the USS Midway.
Midway had the benefit in providing the platform from which the very first and the very last confirmed MiG kills of the entire Vietnam War were scored.
Midway served throughout the Cold War, modernized again in 1986 and equipped with the new F-18 Hornet. She goes into combat for the last time in January 1991 as flagship of the Arabian Gulf Battle Force. During 43 days of combat, Midway flies 3,339 combat sorties, averaging 121 per day, delivering 2,000 tons of bombs and missiles on enemy targets. It is a stunning achievement and Midway's swan song.
In 1991, right after the successful conclusion of Operation Desert Storm, it was decided that the Midway would be retired a few years ahead of schedule. Age was catching up with her, and the fact that she just was too small to be operating the carrier aircraft that we had in the inventory.
After 47 years of service, Midway is decommissioned at Naval Air Station North Island, San Diego, April 11, 1992. As testament to her proud service in Vietnam and the Persian Gulf, she was spared the scrapyard.
It is now a museum in San Diego and is available for public viewing to look at a ship that basically was a milestone in carrier aviation history.
It is a fitting legacy for the men and women who served on Midway and the bold airmen who launched from her deck. Men who flew into hostile skies, faced determined and skilled opponents, and returned to Midway as MiG killers.